we kind of became a small group without even knowing it. We were already friends, but then we added this level to our friendship of intentionally getting together every week. We would share responsibility cooking food. We would visit in each other's homes, and we would sit and we would share about our lives, and we would pray for one another. So we became a small group. We called ourselves family dinner because that's what it felt like. When we were in grad school away from our families, we created this little environment, this little safe space that felt like family dinner. And then we were about to graduate, and we were about to spread all over the country. And I said, okay, you guys, here's what's going to happen. Every year, once a year, until the end of time, we are going to get our small group back together for a family dinner retreat. And we're going to do this thing that we've been doing for all these years. We're going to do it again for that one weekend or that one couple of days, once a year, every year, until the end of time. That's what we're going to do. You guys, I believe in retreats so much. I forced my small group of friends into going on retreats with me once a year, every year. And we've done this a few times now that we are pastors spread out all over the country. And it is one of the weekends or a few days that gives me the most life. I wait all year to get a chance to reconnect with these women, and it fills me up in such a way, it gives me so much strength that I can get through a whole year without sometimes sitting in the same room physically with them until the next retreat. One of the reasons why this is so important to me is that these women, they know me better than anybody else. And it's not because I've known them the longest, right? They're not my high school friends. They're not my childhood friends. They're these women that I met in grad school, and we are all females, and we are all pastors. And some of them are single, and some of them are married, and some of them are married with kids. These women know me and my life better than anybody else. And one of the reasons why it is so important for me, for my faith life, to get physically with them and get in the same space with them once a year is because they ask me the questions nobody asks me. Do you have friends like that? Do you have friends like that that know you so well and will ask you the questions nobody asks? You know the questions I mean, the hard ones. The ones that get at what's going on beneath the surface. You know, the people who don't buy the put together look that you're working with, the one that you're trying to get everybody to buy into. The friends that they're not interested in that surface level you. They ask you the questions about what's underneath. Do you have friends like that? You know, it's actually really hard to find community like that. And sometimes actually, we find it in places we don't often expect. Sometimes it happens on accident, which is true for the group of friends that I'm talking about. It happened on accident. We weren't all best friends, but you know what? We became a community, and they know me better than anybody else. I really try to create community like that in all of my church spaces with students or with adults where people can be vulnerable. Sometimes the thing that creates that community for us is retreats. This is our memory verse for this week. The prophet Hosea, in Hosea 2, verse 14, says, "Therefore, I am going to allure her. I will lead her into the wilderness, and I will speak tenderly to her." I think God needs us to get to a place of vulnerability sometimes to encounter God. The practice I want for you this week is to be vulnerable. And it's going to be the hardest practice for you to achieve, I'm sure of it. Because sometimes we don't actually even know who are the people that we can be vulnerable with. We don't always know who really, really knows us. And sometimes for our kids, we don't know who those safe places or safe people are for them. My invitation for you this week is if you know who your people are, your people who really, really know you, get connected with them. If you don't necessarily know who those people are, that's my challenge to you, is to figure out who are those people who you can be vulnerable with. You know, this is going to be the hardest practice that I have invited you to participate in, but it's going to be the one where you can encounter God the most. I know I need community in my life that speaks words of love and tenderness to me, because honestly, that's not often how I speak to myself. So I pray that you take up this challenge and this practice this week so that you can hear some of those loving and tender words that God has for you. I would love to hear how you have been encountering God or yourself or nature differently over these past few weeks as you've been going through some of these retreat practices. So you can share your journey. You can tag us at Park Ridge Presby or message us. We would love to hear your story, because we know that God is at work in the world, and we know that sometimes when we slow down, when we unplug, when we get outside and when we're vulnerable, we know that we can encounter God more, just like we do when we're on retreats.